Please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. And we'll wait for a second for Mr. Colbeck. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening and welcome. I'll call the school board meeting for Independent School District 944 to order. And our first item of business is to establish the quorum.
Natalie Cole.
Here.
Matt Lemke. Here. Natalie Knudsen.
Here.
Wayne Danielson here. Stephen Bigsaw. Here. Melissa Hermes.
Present.
We have a quorum.
All right, very well. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the agenda? All in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, that is approved. We have an acknowledgement, and we would like to thank Dean and Julianne Gutzmer for their donation of 125 books to Mrs. Larson's classroom at Kennedy Secondary School. Thank you for the support of the school and to the Gutzmers.
We have an item that did not get on the agenda. Nathan Aarons is here to talk about a field trip coming up to Washington DC, so why don't we call him first?
So we'll begin our reports with Nathan Aarons, report to the trip to Washington DC. So tell us what you have.
Sure.
Yep,
Right there.
Right there.
Hey, hi, I'm Nathan Aarons. I teach 8th grade geography here at Kennedy, and I'm in my third year. My first year, actually my very first day on the job, I got a call from a company that wanted to take students to Washington D.C. And it was my first day, so I told them, absolutely not, not right now, eventually, but not yet. But they stayed on me, and about 3 weeks later, I said, sure, just told them to send a rep. So they sent a rep, and I talked with them, and it sounded something that would maybe be interesting for the kids and the family. So I talked to Dean, and he gave me the go-ahead to put together a meeting, and I kind of see what it was about. So we followed through with that. We had meetings. It took 2 years. So after my second year, this past summer, we did go to Washington, D.C. with this group. I had 30, it was me and Gary Hoffbeck, who was a 7th grade history teacher. And then we had, I think, 7 parents and 33 kids or something like that. And it was the best experience I've had so far academically as a teacher here in the school. The company we went with is called World Classrooms, and they exceeded every expectation I had for them, both in terms of preparing for the trip and the trip itself. So just give you a couple of details on like what the trip looks like. So it takes place during the summer, which is awesome, so the kids don't have to miss any school for it. And it's only 4 days, so it was June 13th to 17th, and that's including travel time. So which sounds like not enough time to do DC, but the way this company had these kids working, it was up at 6 and it was back to the hotel at 9:30, and you were nonstop doing things in between. And the kids never complained once; they loved every second of it. So they basically asked me right away after we got back, they said, would you be interested in doing this again on a year-to-year basis or on an every 2-year basis? And the kids that went last year were this year's 9th and 10th graders, at the time the 7th and 8th. So this year it would be this year's 7th and 8th. So it would be brand new kids. It would basically be every 2 years that they would want to do this. But right now I'm just asking for the one trip, which would be in 2 summers. So when this year's 7th and 8th graders are finishing their 9th grade year and their 8th grade year, that's when they would go. So I just have a little bit for the itinerary. This company, they go through all of the financing with the parents themselves. So like I'm in charge of keeping track of forms as a teacher. I'm in charge of keeping track of payment forms and things like that. But the payment is just through from the parents to the company, which is rather spendy. The trip costs $2,189 for a student to go, but if they sign up within, it says the day of the meeting, but they generally give them as much grace as they want, and it ends up being $300 off. So each family paid $1,829 last year. I believe it's the same number this year. $1,889 this year for each student. And each parent that wants to go then would pay $2,289, which is a ton of money to go to Washington, D.C., which they make very clear. I mean, if you want to go as a family to D.C., you can take 4 people there for the cost of 1 person for this. But basically this trip allows you to do things that you would not be able to do if you were just there, I guess, as a private citizen. So just a little bit for itinerary. Like day 1, they have going to all the memorials, so like MLK, FDR, Thomas Jefferson, along with several others. Day 2, Library of Congress. They do a full tour, so they hire out somebody there in DC that does like a full private tour of the Library of Congress, the Supreme Court, U.S. Capitol, Holocaust Memorial, which was some of the, I guess if you were to poll the kids, probably the part that they found the most meaningful from the last time we were there. Then we get to Mount Vernon on day 3. It's almost a full day at Mount Vernon, Washington, George Washington's home. And that's really cool, but the kids have a lot of free time to kind of go around that area. to go along with the archives to see the actual Declaration and the Constitution. The Bill of Rights. Then they do the Smithsonian Museums that same day. So day 3, I mean, this the whole morning they have Mount Vernon, they bus them back to DC, and then it's a full day of Smithsonian. So it's World History Smithsonian, Natural History Smithsonian, Air and Space Smithsonian. Again, these kids are super, super busy. And then the last day, day 4, Arlington National Cemetery. They get to see the changing of the guard. If you've ever been to DC, changing of the guard is my personal favorite part of being at DC. And that goes along with the JFK grave, the Marine Corps War Memorial for Iwo Jima, and then I guess just several other things mixed in. So that includes flights too. So it's 4 days. They fly out day 1, they fly back day 4. But the flight on day 1 is super early, so they get there by late morning. They have almost the full day. And the flight on day 4 is late, so they have almost that full day as well. They bus them to Minneapolis, and then they fly from Minneapolis to DC, which a lot of kids were nervous about because a lot of kids hadn't flown before. Of the 33 kids, I bet almost half of them had never been on a plane. So for them, it was their first flight. So that was fun to watch them, experience kind of having their first flight and their first adventure away from the Midwest. Which, aside from the history that they're getting from this, was another just good experience for them and their families. This meeting that they want to have for this year would be October 8th at 6 o'clock. Which would be, we just have it in the cafeteria. Last time we had over 100 people at that meeting for the first one. So I'm really trying to rev up the kids to get more than that this time. They said they'll take as many kids as possibly could want to go. So I hope we have 100 kids this time. So it would be October 8th, 6 o'clock. They would have their intro meeting where parents and students would come. They would hear the pitch from the company. And at that point, they'd be able to ask questions and determine whether or not that was something they were interested in. So like out of the 60, 70 kids that came last time, 33 ended up actually going. Once they hear about $1,889, a lot of them, it's get the free pizza and head out the door. But it's still like it's a cool experience, and especially for kids and families that either have not done very much traveling and are looking for something like that, or do lots of traveling and are looking for good educational opportunities for their kids to go out and see more of this world. It's a really cool opportunity. And again, this company, everything was set up for us. The flights, every flight was ready to go. The hotels were ready to go. They had a tour guide on our bus that would come with us to every one of our stops. The kids had enough time where they were free though too. When we go to a spot, they said, a buddy system. Pick a friend, we're gonna meet back here in 2 hours. So the kids have a lot of time where they can feel a little bit independent and we're not just hovering over them. But also it's super structured. They have security in the hotels at night. A bus driver that's waiting for them at each of their stops. So that works really, really well. And as for me and Gary, parents were thanking us all the time, like, well, I can't believe you guys set this up. I mean, we didn't do anything. Like, my job is to keep track of stuff and not lose it, and talk to the company and let them know what days work for them to come and talk to us. Other than that, it's also free for me, Gary. So, that's little selfish reason for me to like it's a free trip to DC. So it's no cost to the teachers or to the parent chaperones if we need one. There's a chance that if we need a parent chaperone, if enough kids came, then that parent would also get to go for free, whoever we would choose for that. But yeah, I think that's about my synopsis. If there's any questions for me.
Do you coordinate any fundraisers to defray the cost?
I do not, but the company will. Basically, at the parents, last time that they met, their answer to the parents was that we don't have any fundraisers that we personally set up, but if the students and the parents decide with me that there's something we would like to do, they'll work with us to see that we can do some sort of fundraiser. So I haven't heard from them this year, but assuming it's the same as last time, I would assume that's what it would be. So there's no fundraiser per se, but we could make something happen and they would help us with that if we chose to do that.
Okay.
How is this different from close-up, that type of trip?
Yeah. Let's see. I've never been on a close-up trip. When I was in high school, I remember our history class did have a close-up trip, which the kids loved. Based on what I know from friends that went on that, it's very similar. I guess I'm not sure what the costs are associated with that, but based on what we do in DC, because when I was in high school, that was a DC trip as well. Mm-hmm. It was a lot of the same things that I had heard the classmates
Close-up
did.
is for juniors, and they're immersed more in the government, and they really are part of the government. They do a lot of the sightseeing too, and Dean, you help me out
This
here.
is a middle school.
This is middle
focus.
school, that is for juniors, and actually was part of a class here for a number of years. And they are, like I said, immersed right in legislation and working with, on the floor and hearing bills and more of that government-related service. And, but they also do the sightseeing too.
Okay. Very good. Any other questions for Mr. Ahrens?
Is there a maximum number of kids that can go, or?
I was told last time that there is not. That as long as, well, there is once we reach amount of supervisors if we reach a limit there. But it's, I can't remember what they said. They have a number where it's, one adult per
Ratio.
so many kids. So as long as we could keep adding adults to make up for the number of kids, I believe they would continue to add students. But I don't know. I wouldn't anticipate. I'll be thrilled, but I'll be surprised if we got more than 40. That's my target. I'll be great to get 40. But,
So, and how do you pick a chaperone, like a parent chaperone? What, is there a application? I mean, it's a pretty sweet deal if you get a
Yeah,
free trip to
it is.
DC. How do you guys select a parent
State's
chaperone?
interested.
My son's a 7th grader, so, you know.
that's a great question. I don't know. If I can
Board
answer
members
that.
aren't allowed.
How about board members' wives?
But last time we didn't need a parent chaperone.
Oh,
So some
okay.
parents came, but there wasn't a need for that other paid adult. So it was just me and Gary. So I'm not sure exactly how that would work
Okay.
if we were able to bring somebody else for no cost.
Okay.
So it's June of 2020.
June of 2020, yes.
All right. And did you send a letter out to the parents yet?
Just today I passed out invites to the kids to bring home to the parents, and I have a stack of them. I could have passed those out myself
Okay.
before. And then after that, that's what I did last year. And after that, I guess it was just one-on-one communication.
Very good. All right. Any other questions? Thanks for the presentation.
Thank you very much.
All right. We'll continue on with reports by asking to hear from Scott Kovac, our elementary principal at Adams and McKinley.
Good evening, everybody.
Hello.
So just to give you an idea of how much our district has turned over in its staff in the last few years, when I came in and sat down next to Mr. Ahrens, I thought I was maybe sitting down to the newest reporter from the Daily Journal. Yeah, but that was great presentation. He did a fantastic job. So, yeah, our teachers keep getting younger and younger, don't they? So tonight I just wanted to share with you a few things. First of all, a very special thank you to our our chief of police, Kyle Berggren. He did a little work here over the summer, kind of unbeknownst to, I think, everybody here in the room. And he was able to assign another school resource officer to our school district, and, a part-time school resource officer that is paying a lot of attention to the 3 elementary schools of McKinley, Adams, and Cleveland. So although Officer Matthew Cedarberg is a full-time police officer for the Fergus Falls Police Department, he devotes half of his time on his shift each day to the 3 elementary schools. And so we've been really pleased and thankful to just see him so often during the course of the school day. And he shared with me the other day that he's able to get to each elementary school at 4 different times throughout the school day. So it's not like he shows up to McKinley and he's there for a little bit and then leaves not to be seen again. He gets back to McKinley 4 times in the course of a day, 4 times at Adams, 4 times at Cleveland. We see him also up here at the bus transfer site at Kennedy. Most often he's not in his squad car, which is parked near the building. He's out on the sidewalk in front of the main doors at the busy times of the day, at the start of the day, at the end of the day. Today I saw him in the cafeteria at Adams School, walking the hallways. So the kids are becoming very accustomed to seeing him. And we're just very appreciative now that our school district really, in a sense, then has 1.5 school resource officers. Of course, our full-time person being Abram Silbernagel, who's busy between Kennedy and Roosevelt. So just wanted to touch on that. I talk about this too often, but I'll just mention it. MAP testing. We all know about MAP testing. We do it 3 times a year, fall, winter, spring. That started today at Adams School, so the first of 10 days of testing. And, a special thank you to Brittany Conrad, who is our secretary at Adams School, who is training our new paraeducator, Andrea Knick. And so we got Brittany a sub in the office today, so she could be with Andrea in the computer lab for a couple days this week. Third thing on my list I wanted to just mention to you is our parent-teacher organization. Thanks to their successful spring booster-thon fundraiser. they have $25,000 that they have budgeted for this school year. And they want to focus that money and their efforts on 3 areas: literacy, STEM, and arts. And to give you an example, in the area of arts, they have already scheduled a play for later this year, I think in April, that's going to be at a Center for the Arts, a professional theater group coming in and putting on a play for all of the students in grades K through 3. The title of the play is Dragons Love Tacos. So, sounds pretty interesting. So, you know, they'll cover the cost of the busing and getting our kids down there, and I think it'll be one of those deals where our kindergarten class and our 2nd grade class will go to one of the performances, and then the first grade class and the 3rd grade class will go to the other performance, just based upon numbers and how many kids can fit at the Center for the Arts. So a very special thank you to our parent-teacher organization. Of course, we're planning to do the Booster-thon again this spring, and we think it will be every bit as successful as it was a year ago. 4th on my list, I just wanted to give a little shout out. Now, this is the at least the 2nd consecutive year that we've been fortunate enough to have the district's reigning teacher of the year in one of our elementary schools. Last year it was Jamie Lill at McKinley School, and now this year it's Kim Walbach, the 1st grade teacher at Adams School. So congratulations to Kim, she's very deserving of that recognition. And then I wanted to also recognize tonight Mary Madison. She works quietly behind the scenes and does a lot of good for our elementary schools in the form of the Adopt a Class / Business Partner program. And our teachers recently learned of their business partner and who they're paired up with this year. And that's a very generous donation of $100 that our classrooms receive from their business partner. And so thank you to Mary for all of her work, talking to all of these area businesses and making the connections and all the work that goes with that. And then lastly, I wanted to talk about an effort that's kind of coming out of McKinley School. It's called the Otter Reading Revival. And I was thinking about bringing a little poster that has been made and distributed all over town. The Otter Reading Revival. It's a poster of all of the McKinley staff holding a book outside on the jungle gym at McKinley School. It was very well done. Thank you to Shelley Schoenick's daughter, Susie Schoenick. Something, she has a married name.
Townsend.
There we go. Susie Townsend for coming over and taking that photo. And we got Mr. Creevy's daughter involved. She was wearing the otter mascot costume. And so just to give you an idea of some of the things behind the Otter Reading Revival, and there are many things planned for this school year, but one of them occurred the night of Otter Pride Night. So all 10 kindergarten teachers were there, and they took their turn kind of being at a table and handing out free books to any child who wanted a free book. We also had one 1st grade teacher, one 2nd grade teacher, and one 3rd grade teacher also participated that night, because Mrs. Shelley Schoenick, who's kind of behind this idea of the Otter Reading Revival, she has at least one rep from each grade level on this thing. But the 250 books that were given away that night was from an anonymous donation that we received.
Wow.
And not anonymous to me, but they would like to remain anonymous, so we've thanked them. Also, just another idea that's happening with this is, and I'm sure this will be approved, but our parent-teacher organization will receive a request form from the McKinley teachers. They're asking for $950, which will purchase 3 books for every student in kindergarten. One that each student would receive for their birthday, one that each student would receive during the month of February, I Love to Read month, and then a book that they get at the very end of the year that they can take with them into the summer. And then also out of that $950, we're hoping to get enough books purchased that we can give one away to every student who registers for kindergarten in March. So we're looking to get a bunch of dollars. And if our PTO, they want to support literacy, STEM, and arts, so they'll look at this request and they'll say, oh, that fits with what we want to support in our mission, and I'm sure they'll probably support that. So that's my report for this evening, and I can entertain any questions from the board.
Have you read Dragons Love Tacos?
I haven't.
Oh, it's really good.
So school board members evidently.
So, why was with the play, how come the fourth graders don't go? Is
Yeah.
it just the money, or is it?
No, it's how many how many students can fit
Sure.
for the number of performances that they're giving.
Oh,
So
okay.
they're giving 2 performances, and so it's just based on
Sure.
what they can accommodate there.
Very good. Some great stuff. Thank you.
Thank you.
And now we'll hear a principal report from our elementary principal at Cleveland, Tindy Run.
Things are up and running and headed in the right direction at Cleveland. Our third graders have definitely adjusted, and Cleveland is their school now. They're making their way around the hallways very nicely and enjoying what they're doing. Third graders have all had an art lesson already, and it was a self-portrait. So we have self-portraits hanging in the hallways, and it's really fun to kind of walk around and check those out and hear what they have to say about their portraits. They've all had a cursive handwriting lesson, and that's something that we focus on in third grade, is really learning how to write in cursive, but not only how to write in cursive, but also read cursive writing. They've also been introduced to the accelerated reading program and have had opportunities to check out books in the library and take their first AR tests. And that's a supplement to our reading program. So it's really intended to be a motivational program to get kids reading quality and quantity at their independent reading levels. This week, they will have their first trips to the Prairie Wetlands Learning Center, and that's always exciting for those kids. Throughout the year, third graders make 7 trips to the Prairie Wetlands Learning Center, and they study a different field activity each time. And while they're there, they have a journal that they keep throughout the school year and learn how to, kind of a nature journal, kind of a keepsake for them in the end. And all of those topics are just beautifully tied to our science standards, so very supportive in that regard. Our fourth graders have been doing a great job. They're kind of the older kids on the block, and they've been great role models and welcoming those new classmates to Fergus Falls, and also helpful with the third graders. In fourth grade, orchestra becomes the new learning opportunity, and as we speak, Cleveland is bustling because the orchestra display is set up, and since school let out until about 6 or 6:30 tonight, families are coming in and children are being measured for their instruments and getting signed up for orchestra lessons and that new opportunity. They'll have their first large group rehearsal this Thursday morning. They rehearse it in the Cleveland gym Thursday mornings before school. So everybody's assembled by 7:30 a.m. and away they go. So the fourth graders are very excited about that opportunity. Their first concert is only 11 weeks from now, right before our Christmas holiday. So they'll have about 10 rehearsals between now and then, and then we get to enjoy their first performance. During the month of September, we promote safety, and we do a lot of talking about safety. And a big thank you to our FIAD teachers, Mr. Olson and Mr. Steer. The week before last had buses at Cleveland and had all the kids on the bus talking about bus safety. They practice exiting out the back of the bus in case of an emergency. So that's something that all students receive in that regard. We've also practiced a couple fire drills and our safety lockdown drills as well. So those are things that across the district we're all trying to get those exercises in so that kids know what to do and teachers know what to do if we're faced with those emergency situations. And then lastly, I just wanted to say thank you again for supporting our Envoy training. It's alive and it's happening in our district. Teachers have been implementing different strategies. They're talking about it in between class time and after school, comparing notes, and you can hear them talking about what's making a difference and where the challenges are and what they want to practice and get better at. But lots of positive comments about Envoy thus far. And time will be dedicated during the professional learning communities to explore more about Envoy. You really need to open up the book and kind of refresh yourself as to what are the different strategies of the 7 gems and what they do in the classroom. So teachers are excited about this and they're feeling that impact. We've had some discussion at the administrative level about what can we do to provide support for teachers as they're implementing this. Superintendent Ness was able to arrange like a mini refresher course on November 2nd, which is an early out date. So those who attended the training can attend this mini refresher course and just have important dialogue to kind of get them going full bore. And then thereafter, trainers or coaches, Envoy coaches will come and work with the teachers in their classrooms to observe the teacher implementing the strategies, and then after class or after a period of time, meet with them and offer suggestions or field their questions. So there's quality ongoing support in regard to Envoy as we're implementing it across the district. So thank you for that. And that is my report for tonight. Any questions?
So how often do the Envoy trainers come and observe? Is it once a year, or is it?
You know, I think it really could be as often as we would want them to. They have some suggested time frames. They're encouraging us to do this sooner than later. You don't need to be a polished expert in implementing Envoy before some coaching can be really helpful and supportive. So they're encouraging us not to wait too long.
Just depends on how many days we want to purchase, to be honest. So typically, we're trying to coach everybody. There's some staff that will want to be certified Envoy instructors, and they'll need more coaching, and then what they do is they come in and they actually check them. Have they used all 7 gems? Are they doing it properly? If they have, then they become certified. Most of the time, they need at least 1 or 2 times, 2 or 3, I should say, to be certified. So we'll work with the staff that want to be going on. I would say not all of our staff by any means will want to be certified, but yet they'll still be practicing using the principles.
So if our staff becomes certified, can they observe other teachers? But I suppose they have to get subs and stuff too, right?
They would have to do that. There's actually a training to be an observer and evaluator. So that's a different program, a more intensity than just be the certified person. And but you're right. There's you would save money if you have our own trainers, but yet then do you want one of our teachers out of their classroom for 9 days to watch everybody else? So that's what we're weighing right now.
Well, I appreciate the administration and the principals keeping this on the radar and refreshing it and keeping it alive. That's great.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right. Thank you. And now we'll hear from our secondary principal, Lee Monkey.
Hey, good evening, everybody. I think I might have mentioned this the last time I was up here, but just really felt like it was a smooth start to the school year at the secondary level here. And 2 things that go into that, I think, is our second year in Synergy and a full and experienced staff in our counseling office this year. Last year we were kind of getting somebody new in. We got somebody new in even after the school year started. So like 2 out of 4 were new for us. So it just felt like they just hit the ground running this year. And so very appreciative to all the folks in that office, including Jana and Kim, our registrar as well, the work in there. They just did a great job. When I looked at notes from last year at this same time frame, I had down that we were at 460 students in IQ, and I know we're over 580 today. So it's that kind of growth that we're working with. And once again, talking about a counseling office, we added our second counselor to IQ Academy, and she is doing great. And between Carla and Cheryl over there, they're off and running as well, which probably means that, you know, this figure is more accurate from us, because I think we're looking at smaller wait times, whether that be for our part-time students to get settled in there or our full-time students that are coming in for us. So great numbers there. And our ALC has started out with the most students they've ever had at day one. That, of course, goes again to the credit of somebody like Kristen Toole and Amy over there, who work really hard to recruit these students in August, make sure they have a schedule to begin the school year, and can go off and running from day one as well. So great to see those kind of numbers over there this early in the year. Hopefully with an earlier start, people will be more consistent in relationship to their course of studies, and just have a better chance to get off on a right foot over there as well. With that, this Friday, we've already hit our first midterm point here. So you blink, and it's already here. So as of like next, our midterm will be this Friday. As of the following Wednesday, we'll be looking to pull midterm reports and have those in the hands of parents by probably October 5th or 6th, just in time before conferences show up the following week after that. So off and running is very much the case here. And I have had an opportunity to already get out in the classroom. Between the various principals here at the secondary level, we divided up our teacher observations for the year. I think I hit my 7th or 8th today already, and it is absolutely a blast to get out, and especially to see some of these new teachers that we have brought in. We have absolutely brought in the most talented bunch. I'm just very impressed already. And so that's been a lot of fun, but I also know that with that, I will probably be behind in my write-up evaluations from now until the end of the school year. So we'll see if I can do my homework better as well here over the course of the year. We mentioned a little bit about parent-teacher conferences. Of course, those are just around the corner here. Kind of at the high school level, to kick that off, is on that Thursday morning, that October 11th, we have a career expo planned. I don't know what year this is that we've been doing this, but once again, a lot of the praises go out to Mary Madison. She chairs that committee for us, which really made up across the community of Fergus Falls here. We have Workforce Center, we have Chamber here, we have Economic Development. Everybody is at the table for that, and we really appreciate that. Our juniors and seniors are going to have a chance to leave campus that morning and go out in the community, both to M-State for a stop there, and also an opportunity to get out to a local business here for a tour. I believe at last count we had 11 or 12 local businesses that were willing to take students from our junior and senior class. So again, just fantastic cooperation from the community to be able to pull that off. Here at school, we have a couple of young entrepreneurs that are coming in to make presentations here for our 9th and 10th graders. And so they'll get a chance to listen to 2 different speakers on that morning as well, independent of having all the businesses, colleges, and everything come to the gymnasium for that morning. So it's a great day. It's an interesting day to try to pull off by October 11th. So we're getting all those schedules thrown together here shortly. And I think that's what I had for my list. Just a reminder for everybody out there that parent-teacher conferences will happen the evening of Thursday, October 11th, all day on Friday, October 12th, and during the evening on that Monday, October 15th. So we're hoping for a great turnout for that. And high school parents out there, we're here. Please come on in and see us. Ask some questions. It's early in the school year. You can meet some of those teachers and really get a first-hand impression of how they're doing in the classroom. Questions?
So for the junior high parent-teacher conferences, those have to be scheduled online, correct?
Both options.
Okay.
So we do have it available online to start with here. And then after that, we'll take phone calls, we'll take paper, we'll take anything that comes our way. But we really heard back an appreciation for some of our parents that they were actually able to pinpoint and pick that conference right away. So they were really appreciative of that. And some people just want to send us a note, and that's fine too, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I used it this morning, it was great.
Yeah.
And then high school is more of an open house kind of a thing? Is
Correct.
that- Okay.
Yep, correct. And also with that, we're gonna meet in our PLCs here before that happens, and we've done this for a couple of years, but we send out postcards, special invitations.
Sure.
To some of those students may absolutely be doing fantastic in a particular class, and I'd like to invite that person in so we can talk a little bit about career options. Others might be struggling, but we're looking for at least 2 or 3 students per class to get a special postcard invitation for that at the high school level.
And the career day is open for what age kids?
That's 9 through 12.
Okay.
And we also, it's an early out for us, so it works out kind of nice. We can kind of get everything done in the morning and kind of use that half day outside of the classroom for our high school students. And then we invite area schools in. I think we've got 9 or 10 area schools that are coming in. We've got all those people here, all those resources, those speakers here. So we invite those area schools to show up, and we can do that because we've kind of sent everybody else on their way by 12:20 on that day.
Cool. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And report from Superintendent West.
Yes, there's a handout. It is our new copier has a stapler there. That's pretty handy. But just some handouts for you as board. Upcoming MSBA learning opportunities. We were able to go, a few of us were able to go to the last week on Thursday. MSBA is the Minnesota School Board Association. They lobby the state on behalf of us. They're talking a lot about delegate assembly and initiatives. Matt has been working with special education, specifically the staff that's inundated with paperwork, trying to reduce that. And then we also heard reports on what is Pellsby and how are they doing with their Tier 1, 2, 3, 4 new system. We heard about Janus and all of the decision with the unions based on that. So a number of items that they keep us on top of. So that is that first handout. The second handout is just a handout from the Lakes Country Service Cooperative on 18 Online. And these are all of the courses that being offered. The credits they're doing, enrolled, completed. What I don't have it broken down to just Fergus Falls Public School teachers. But some of you might not know that the last legislative session, they gave them another $375,000. And so what happens is the Lakes Country and Northwest, they get to sign up first. And then after that, if there's open spots, it's open to every single district in the state. So it's teachers that are trying to get their master's degree with 18 credits in the content area, so then they can teach college. That's what this is all about. Very, very, very successful program and well thought out. They don't anticipate have any issues getting more money for the program, so it's awesome. The last page here is MASA strategic plan. So last week on that same day, Gary Amoroso, the executive director, came up, and I just wanted to give you an idea. We have School Board Association, we have school administrators, we have MREA for rural schools. They're all supporting and doing things for their own constituents and trying to lobby the state. And this was for school administrators. Their goal, a lot of policy resources addressing future needs. And the second goal, coordinate professional learning. So they're doing a lot of professional learning opportunities, and our region happens to be getting the additional funds for training. So they're looking at more training for superintendents. We have a number of new superintendents in the area that are looking for that training. So the principals kind of filled up. It's homecoming week and lots of things, dress-up days and coronation tonight at 7 o'clock, and then the big day on Friday, obviously, with the Iron Man volleyball and Powder Puff football and parade and game, and then Saturday night is the Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame banquet, so they have that on Saturday night. So lots of good things for this week, memory-making week.
Real cool. All right, any questions for the superintendent? All right, we'll dig into our general consent items and consider for approval our minutes from the last regular school board meeting that we had on September 10th. And then these variety of personnel maneuvers. So I'll ask our HR director to go through those.
Support staff hires, we're still in the need of noon-hour supervisors. So we have Pauline Nelson over at Cleveland and Mavis Samuelson at McKinley. And then we have 2 paraeducators that we need a small increase of time per day to cover crosswalk duty for Mark Siebenaller and then Meg Garahan for bus duty, 45 minutes a day for bus duty. And last board meeting, I had Lorraine Hicks at the correct FTE at 0.5, but her decreased in hours was 3.25, not 4, as indicated by that information. On September 10th, administration retirement, we have Jerry Ness, our superintendent, and he'll be with us throughout the school year until the end of June. So the last item would be head coach hire, and that's Lisa Truex, our head girls softball coach. And that's effective as of tonight for the new softball season, so.
Okay. Some other things to add to the consent agenda for consideration of approval is the 2018-2020 agreement between our school board and the Minnesota School Employees Association of the Custodial and Secretarial Personnel. There's been a contract agreement reached there for our approval. A request for a .39 full-time equivalent secretarial position, and that will be for use in the district office. And then a request of 1 additional full-time equivalent special ed paraprofessional. So we're looking to hire Drew Smith, a special ed paraprofessional, due to the needs of a student at Adams School. So is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
A second?
A second.
Any discussion on any of these items? All in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, that is approved. And then, looking for, we do need a board action to set this meeting, is that right, Ely? On the tax payable?
Yep, we need that to be set at the maximum amount, and then along with setting the meeting itself on December 10th at 6 p.m.
All right, so that's the motion I'm looking for, a proposed levy for taxes payable, and then a public informational meeting to collaborate with the public to provide more information. Will someone move for that?
So moved.
All right, and a second?
One second.
And Mark, before we approve, you want to give us the rundown?
Well, actually, I was hoping that Mr. Aaron's had a spot on that bus to Washington, because I'm not real happy with these numbers. The document you have here up on the screen shows the proposed levy that we're talking about, the levy that we are currently under, and then a dollar change and percent change. And when I ran through this, got this document here earlier this month, I just noticed suddenly large increases here all the way down. And from what I can tell, it's from our enrollment growth, a combination of that, plus equalization, some of the things the state legislature did. So the equalization piece is out of our control. The student numbers may be in our control, but at the same time we are growing. So as we grow, especially with referendum, it's a dollar amount per student, and you have more students, that means more revenue and so forth. Normally I would have expected some of this to be paid by some state aid, but what it's looking like is some of the equalization is affecting it. But I'm going to dive deeper into this because some of these percentage increases are very large, and I have a feeling it's related to maybe some errors in the number of kids that are being reported or estimated in our future. In other words, I think they're thinking we're growing much faster than what we actually are.
Mark, excuse me, that's just based on our brick and mortar students, right?
No,
And the IQ is included in there?
IQ Academy is included.
Okay.
So, and what I'm guessing is that in somebody's calculations of growth, they're seeing that growth in IQ and they're extending it even higher
Okay.
because of the pace of its growth. But yeah, 32% increase on that one line item alone is significant. One of the other things too is our long-term facility revenue. That is by legislative authority going up. They're putting more of a commitment into it, so the aid is also going up. Again, that's really not under our control, other than the number of pupils. And if the number of pupils is incorrect, then that number is a little bit higher. But that number should have gone up, and it should have been one of the items that by legislature should have gone up. You also notice our lease levy is going up significantly. There's been much discussion about the Early Childhood Family Education Center. That facility, the expansion of that facility. It's done through a lease levy. This would maximize our lease levy authority at that time. What that number will actually be will not be known until all the construction is done and so forth. But at the same time, you have to levy something, because you're going to be start making payments here in the fiscal 20 when that facility opens up. If that facility doesn't open up for whatever reason, somebody will ask, then the following year that number will go down significantly and people will get their taxes back. There's very little change in the community education area. And then when we get down in the debt service, you can see that the numbers are slowly decreasing. That's by design. I mean, if you keep your car payment the same for over a period of time, eventually something happens, and in this case here, the interest rate slowly drops as it's complex, but it's about the same. You can't get it. So in total, when we get all done here, we're looking at a 14.8% increase. That's the largest increase that I can remember. And so, like I say, we need to dive into this a little deeper, find out what is going on. I don't think we can reduce it all the way down to zero, of course, but what that final number will be, I don't know. Part of the reason I say this is because if we look at these numbers right here, you can see the market value of the properties within the school district rose by 2.6%. That's both inflation and also increased number of properties. People remodeled their homes, they added a business, they built a home, they did whatever. That's a pretty big significant increase in 1 year. When that relates down to what we call adjusted net tax capacity, for you newer board members, what that means is if you own a $100,000 business, you own a $100,000 residence, and you own a $100,000 farm, you're going to pay 100% of the tax, you're going to pay 200% of the tax, and you're going to pay 50% of the tax. It's just kind of a way to help make properties of different classes pay different rates of taxes. And so what this is telling me is a 3.5% increase. That means more businesses were added to the formula, because they pay twice as much than everybody else. So I don't know what businesses those are, but it could be as small as a small tire shop. It could be something large, like a bank or something like that. So again, I won't be able to drop the taxes down to somewhere like 3.5%. I mean, just growth of the population is doing this as well. And perhaps that growth of population is also then turning around in growth in the number of students we have. Can you roll down just a hair? This tax rate. Last year, this is an artificial number. This is something that I've done over time to try to get people to understand, or at least me to understand, the burden of our taxes. And what all it is the number of the dollars that we're levying divided by this net tax capacity. So think of it as sort of like the price of gasoline on a sign at a gas station, okay? 30 cents or 30.6% or 30 cents a gallon. For the next year, it's 33.9. If we go back in time, we see in fiscal 10 that it was 33.6. So we look at these two numbers and go, holy cow, they're pretty much the same. Well, again, it's all this property growth that has taken place since 10 years ago. That is we're almost at the same tax burden, is what I'm saying. So it's all kind of strange numbers. Flipping, Jerry. We'll go by this.
Okay.
And we'll go to the graph. This is actually two graphs in one. But the one I really want to show here is this black line right here at the bottom is the taxes that we've had in the past. And you can see it's varied around that 5.5 million, and then it dropped. Then we had a levy referendum, or a bond referendum, and then it kind of dropped. Then we had another bond referendum, and it's been kind of the same. It reduced last year, and all of a sudden, boom, boom, we're up. It's an unusual spike. And so, again, more time is going to be needed to deal with it. The other thing I wanted to show you is the red line. That's the tax rate that I was just talking, like the gas station sign. As you can see, it used to be way up in the 50s. In fact, I think our highest was 66%. And it's dropped down and been fairly low over that past few years. The green line is the growth of the properties within our school district. And you can see since 2008, when it went down, it's skyrocketed. And of course, when it skyrockets, your taxes go up. So, but hopefully there's more people to pay the tax. So, bottom line, we're at 14.8%. Got a lot of work to do before it hits the December
6th meeting?
December 6th meeting.
December 10th.
That's what I meant.
December 10th.
6 o'clock.
Yeah, almost ended 6 last year.
So Mark, today we're approving the maximum, which is that 14.8%.
Yep.
But on December 10th at 6 o'clock, we'll have a lot, you'll be working with the state, the county, and this should be more fine-tuned to a specific number, an actual dollar amount on December 10th that the board will consider.
Correct. And I'm hoping that that is less.
And have we lost any sources of revenue due to our growth? Or is that part of, any part of this equation?
Well, some of these levies are matched with state aid, okay? So what you're seeing up here, the 7.5 million, is just the levy portion. We probably get another 20 million in state aid. When levy goes up, state aid goes down, but at the same time, we've got more kids, so state aid goes back up again.
Yeah,
It's a complex formula. We'll get it figured out.
all right.
And I'm sorry, but that's the best I got right now in the 2 weeks that we've had it. And there's a lot of work to be done to make sure that these numbers are either correct, and we've got to share and bear the burden, or there's going to be an adjustment.
Yeah,
Okay?
all right.
So explain, why would we approve it now if we know there's so many adjustments can be made? I don't
That's why you do
understand.
the maximum,
Okay.
okay?
Okay. then
Because
I
you
see.
have to do something now.
Okay,
But if you don't do anything, you don't get any funding at all.
right.
So it's
we
kind of
shouldn't-
critical that
We shouldn't
you do
set on
maximum.
percentages.
And then let the process work itself out.
Okay,
Good.
Because you can't go up, you can only go down
right, sure.
from the percent, so.
Okay?
Okay, anything else? All right, we have the motion, the second, and a presentation. Any board discussion? Anything else we want to review? All in favor of approving the proposed levy for taxes payable for 19 at the maximum amount, and the public informational meeting for December 10th at 6 p.m., say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, we're on track with that. And now, I'm looking for a motion to approve the fundraiser requests that we were able to review in our packets.
So moved.
And is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, any discussion on the fundraiser requests? Here.
Quick, there was just an issue that came up with one of the, was it the auto coupon? But there was just the communication that was sent out to the parents. It's something about a middle school PAC, PAC. And there's a little confusion, but Jerry and Dean were nice enough to kind of clear that up. And I don't know if it's something that, do we, maybe we can talk about it in a work session about how are parents being communicated with, but it seemed like it was really confusing to me too, and we cleared it all up. But Jerry, I don't know if you have any comments on that.
Basically, whenever we catch an error, we need to correct it. So,
Yeah.
the people that were involved have been told, make sure that they, specifically who it's for, what it's going to, so everyone knows when they're purchasing something in a fundraiser, they know what these dollars are going to be spent on. So we just need to keep updating things.
All right. Any other questions or commentary? All in favor of approving the fundraisers for 1819, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right. And then this isn't good, but let me just read it. Resolution on the retirement of Jerry Gerald Ness. Whereas Jerry Ness began his employment with Fergus Falls Public Schools on August 19th, 2006, and whereas Jerry has been a valued employee with Fergus Falls Public Schools for about for the past 12 years, and whereas Jerry Ness has done an excellent job as our superintendent, and now therefore be it resolved by Fergus Falls School Board to thank Jerry Ness for his 12 years of dedicated service to Fergus Falls Public Schools. Will someone offer that resolution and move for its adoption?
I'll offer resolution, move for its adoption.
And a second?
Second.
Should we discuss whether we're gonna accept this or not?
Well, can we just wait until the end of June?
Yeah, thinking about it?
I'll take them back.
Yeah.
It's happened.
Right. Any discussion or commentary?
Just a comment, I mean, I'm a new board member, and honestly, couldn't have asked for a better superintendent to help me along to learn. Well, I still have a lot to learn, but I've appreciated your help with, whenever I have a question, it's not your response is not a sentence, it's a paragraph, and you know, I've always felt welcomed and included, and I really appreciate not only your help with me, but also I can just tell you just love kids and you want to see them succeed. So I just appreciate that. I'm going to miss you. That's for sure.
Any other comments?
And just to thank Jerry for giving us the opportunity to, no superintendent has to do it this early, to give us the opportunity to go through the process of finding a replacement, and that's one of the reasons why he is, and I really appreciate that. I've been on the other one where we've had to find one really quick and had short notice, and it's good to have time to do it properly and do it correctly. So I just want to thank you as a board member, and I think as a district and community for that.
We'll make sure we get a good 8 months out of you yet.
Yeah, let's stop the goodbyes. We got a long ways to go here. So I am Norwegian, so I know a long goodbye. So we got a long time to talk. Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
All right. So, clerk, will you please take roll?
Yes. Melanie Cole.
Yes.
Matt Lemke.
Yes.
Natalie Knudsen.
Yes.
Wayne Danielson, yes. David Biggessa.
Yes.
Melissa Hermes.
Yes.
Resolution passes.
All right. That concludes our meeting for the evening. We have, in case you weren't listening, coronation at 7, so, you know, hurry while there's still parking. Our next regular board meeting will be Monday, October 8th, here at 5:15 in the Otter Community Room. We'll have a work session with a variety of items to discuss tonight, and I would look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And a second? Second. Okay, all in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, thank you. We are adjourned.